All right, and welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's another Comic Talk, Dash at Night. I'm your host, Dash. I got my awesome co-host from First Impressions, Ed, here with us tonight. He's here to talk about Immortal Era. Welcome,
Yes.
Ed. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How? Absolutely. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. I'm finally bouncing back from a weekend of having a high fever and just feeling like death. So now my throat's not great. I mean, I still have to go and talk over 25 third graders, but I'm not feeling like I'm going to die right now. So we're going to call that an improvement.
Yeah. That's man. I think there's a lot of it. I had a little bit of it last week, and then my daughter's got it now. So I'm just hoping my other daughter doesn't catch it and my son.
Yeah.
So
You don't need to
other than
pass it
that,
all the way around the house.
no, it'll surprise me. The big thing is I homeschool, so I'm trying to figure out
Mhm.
where we got it from. So,
Oh yeah, that's
I
true.
don't
Like I
know.
know I just did a con and I teach, so it
Uh,
could have come from either place.
anyway,
So it's people are like, oh, it's just the con crud. I'm like, no, I
yeah,
live in the crud. I swim through it every day. You know, that's my job. And third graders are disgusting little beasts. I mean, they are just like wiping their nose, like coming over and touching you. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna catch it. I'm trying, I'm sitting there like bathing in hand sanitizer, but it's still not enough. So
yeah.
but it could also be the con because you got a bunch of people breathing on you. And sadly, the adults aren't much less gross than the third graders when it
The
comes
third
down to it.
graders.
They're
Yeah,
just bigger and nastier when it comes down to it. So yeah, I mean,
oh,
who knows where I got it, but I got it, and I'm hoping it stayed with me. So far, the rest of the house has been lucky on it. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if it stopped with me.
yeah. I know, I know that my son, and because he does go to regular school,
Mhm.
they had to have a day, like they closed school for a day or so
Mm.
due to the outbreak. So I know there was some issues with that, but yeah, I'm just getting healthy is all it counts.
Yeah.
Well, last week we talked to DM Ray, and I found, and I'm getting ready to talk to you about yours, but I find it funny that like everybody's Kickstarter starts right at the same time. Is that something you all plan?
Honestly, I think the reason that you're getting so many right now is because releasing a Kickstarter around the holidays is pretty terrible.
Yeah,
And I did one in December one year, and it was my worst results ever because a lot of even my normal backers were like, I just don't have money right now to buy a book. So it seems like everybody tends to want to wait until after the holidays, but you don't just pounce like, okay, it's January
right,
1st, let's go. You release it kind of mid-January, early February, and into March. This is that really busy time for Kickstarters. You're going to get a lot here, and then you're going to get another surge kind of in the summer all the way up through around October. And then it gets, it's not that you won't see any, but you won't see quite as many. And also for January, they have the Make 100, where if you
right.
can pick one item and do just 100 of them, then you get put into that category and it gets more eyes on your project. So getting into the Make 100, you have to do it in January. Now, I literally waited till the last day of January to launch. I wanted to get in the Make 100, but I didn't want to do it early in January. So a lot of people do. So that's why January you get pretty packed because people want to get that Make 100. And also they just, they waited. They're sitting on a book because I've been sitting on issue 10 for about 2 months now. It's been ready to go, but I just wanted to get in the Make 100, and then I
Yeah,
waited until kind of let people get through the holidays, not just pounce on them right in January, because a lot of the backers in my campaigns are always family and friends. So you don't want to be like, all right, here you go. Glad you survived Christmas. Now you need to buy a comic book.
yeah. I can only understand that, but I love it, man, because you and I were talking backstage about it. Is the amount of so many friends that we've backed, or I've met a lot of people just through you in doing
Mm-hmm.
our shows together. I've met a lot of people, so it's great to be able to back and these wonderful indie authors, and as well as yours. Like we talked about, you how many different uh I guess, what is it, you like different steps do you have, or not steps, but like you'll have one that's just like your comic book alone, and then you'll or
Mhm.
tiers is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Is it better to have more tiers or less tiers, or what makes a successful Kickstarter for you per se?
I think honestly, I try to keep my tiers, my standard tiers less, because the more you have, the more confusing it gets. But I know people who prove me wrong. It just, you have
Right.
to have good stuff in your tiers. Having 14 or 15 or 20 different covers, it becomes a wash to people. And especially you go like cover A, cover B. And if you're going all the way to Z, they're like, which the hell was, cover M? I don't remember. And they're going to have to scroll through your story. So I think keeping that part of your campaign to a manageable amount. I would never go more than 5 covers, because I think at that point they start to kind of wash out each other. But you don't want to have too few either. So this one, I happen to have 4 covers. I usually do 3. I do a standard. I do one that I call a short print, which I learned later is more supposed to be a baseball card term. But since I grew up as a card collector, comic collector, figure collector of all things, it's like, if I could have afforded Fabergé eggs, I would have probably been buying them as a teenager. But when it comes down to it, it's limited edition, and that's more what it is. I keep my variant covers very low print numbers. I print only 25 of each of those, and I think it makes the collector appeal to them, where your high-end collectors, they want that, because if this thing does get picked up one day by Netflix or fill in the blank, this book's going to be worth so much. So you want to appeal to the collectors, because people, a lot of the Kickstarter people I talk to that are new to it, they don't realize that these are indie comics, but they're still being bought by collectors, and they want something that's collectible. And nothing irks me more than when you buy a campaign and they send it with no bag and board, and they toss it in like it's my subscription to Entertainment Weekly, and it's not. This is a collectible thing. This is something that you want to cherish. And if one day it does get made into something and you got your copy and it looked like it got stepped on by the postal office, you're not going to be happy that it came that way. So the Kickstarter, the people running it need to treat their books like they're collectibles and bag and board them, put them in the nice, safe, sturdy mailers, and make sure that they get to you safely. And I do that, and I make sure with my limited ones, I hand number them, and I keep my tiers pretty limited in the main one. But then the back, now I'm thinking of I'm forgetting their name, but all of the add-ons, I add a ton of those, because I have CGC books, I have pins, I have older covers that are still available. So my add-ons are huge. There's a bunch you need to scroll through, and that I don't worry about, because then if you're looking for something specific, you can find it. Right. I didn't even add all the CGCs that I had, but I tell people, hey, if you want one, if you're looking for a specific thing, I can add it in there. Some are sold out. I mean, the general one that people want the most is, how about an issue 1 first print? Like, no. I have one. It's for my collection, and that's the only one that I know that still exists. And then I do have a few people that have been backing since around issue 4, and they're missing the first 3 of the variant covers, and they really want those. And it comes down to, is like, I wish I could get you one, and now I'm kind of actively trying to hunt those down for them. And if I find one, I'll throw it as a tier. But yeah, I have some draw-in tiers, I have some original artwork, stuff like that, but I try not to overwhelm. But I also, like Lori, who's going to be doing our show tomorrow, she makes her own hot sauce. She does she does all of this custom art for her stuff, making, taking books apart and rebuilding them to make them merge in her universe. And if I had that kind of creativity, I'd have a lot more tiers. I just don't. I mean, I don't know how to make hot sauce and bottle hot sauce. And, I can make a mean brisket, but no one wants that shit. They don't want it shipped to them.
Ship me a brisket. I'm all for it. I would like an Immortal Era brisket.
There you go.
I think that, you just gotta, you've done cons enough to know what your your audience is looking for as
Yeah.
far as collector wise. And you know, I see, and I just love that all the different stuff that, like you said, Lori does and Carissa's done and you know, DM's Ray's done. I just love all that. And is so
Yeah.
the what is the hardest part? And then we'll get into the comic here in a minute. But what is the hardest part getting yourself ready for the Kickstarter? Is it relatively easy? Is it, or is it painstakingly hard?
I think honestly, you have to just be ready to be working a second job, because if you're doing it, it's, you know, I don't post huge amounts to social media normally. But when it's a Kickstarter, you've got to post every single day. You got to let people know you're there, because you're going to get buried in the algorithm over and over again. So you have to just constantly let people know that you're out there, let people know that that your book exists. And you have to be willing to, I mean, you're going to need to go on shows, you're going to need to do a lot of work. And just preparing the Kickstarter, as unartistic as I am, it's so tedious. I mean, just reformatting the artwork, making it fit. I'm so bad at that. And it feels like such a grueling slog to get there. But as I've done it more, it gets more comfortable. I'd say like the first 3 campaigns were so tedious and hard. And my Kickstarters aren't beautiful looking like some of the people's I've seen. I mean, some of these people have custom backgrounds. I wouldn't even know how to do that. You know, they just look exceptionally good. But for me, I just try to make sure that I showcase a lot of the art from the book, tell enough of the story so that people know what's going on. And I want to make sure that whatever video I record is kind of a good representation of what's going to be happening for the issue that they're going to buy. So I try to always put a lot of thought and effort into the video so that it's something people can watch the video and it can kind of tell the story. You don't even need to read through everything besides trying to find what reward you might actually want.
Yeah. I know that. I mean, just even trying to get people to realize that I've got a book coming. I try to post. I don't post every day, but I post every so often with updates, and it just, I don't feel like there's, and I'm trying not to sound, I'm not trying to sound like ungrateful or anything, because there are people that like it and talk, but I understand where you're coming from on getting the algorithm to throw it in there. Is that one of the hardest parts you found? Like you said, was the algorithm getting people to recognize it out there?
Is, because I talked to someone when I was doing my Saturday morning show this week, and he said, I didn't even know you had a campaign out right now. And at that point, by that point, I think I posted at least 5 times and over different days into different groups. And he didn't know until I was on the show Saturday. I'm like, okay, let's talk about my campaign now. And he didn't even know it existed. So I think that's the hard part, is you can get people who would definitely back your book, who would happily support it. Even if they just want to throw $1 at it, they would do something, and they don't know it's out there. So that's the good thing, is once your book goes live, you'll get people that'll share it, and people will share it and share it and share it, and it'll just kind of spread it around so that the algorithm can't just bury it completely.
Yeah, I've been working with some friends, and we're trying to figure out how to get into the algorithm. So that's one thing I'll be working on. But yeah, like I said, I share you guys as when I see them. I try to share them as much as possible. Like I knew yours was out, so I knew to go to your page. But like, just getting into, I know that John Westhoff just did one, and I think he just got backed on his, and then I know DM's coming out with his in a couple, I think March is what he said. Yeah, I think his is starting in March. Yeah. So yeah, I try to write these down when they come out, so I know to go look at the pages. But yeah, and we were talking about, I don't want to have to spend like $50 on Facebook to get it to pop into other people's I feel like I shouldn't
Yeah.
have to do so.
And I think
But yeah,
that's why they make it so hard. That's why they bury them so hard, because they want you to press that boost post button so that you
yeah,
can, give them money. Now, guess what? Boom, it's on everybody's wall and everyone's seeing it. So it's one of those things where they kind of force your hand to make you do something you don't want to do. And then now you're seen in the algorithm, now you're shown around. And then I ran into a brand new problem this weekend where I was just doing my normal thing. I was sharing the final cover on Instagram, and they spammed it they removed it and they
yeah.
called it counterfeit.
Counterfeit. Yeah, I got that too.
So all of a
I
sudden they're
got
telling
that
me
all.
my post is counterfeit and I can't share it. So now I'm being blocked even harder in the algorithm for a post that's obviously not counterfeit. It's my legitimate cover. If they wanted to try to claim it was AI, I have the original artwork that you can see, the pencil lines and everything. And yet they were just arbitrarily blocking thousands of people's accounts and posts, calling them spam, calling them counterfeit, and it makes it even harder to break through that algorithm. Because now it's like, okay, someone might, because people go to Instagram, they like to look at, okay, there's a cover, I'm going to like that, and now it's just gone. And now you have to go through the appeal process and hope that anything sees it, but it got flagged by some AI bot, I'm sure. So is the AI bot going to give you any kind of chance to get it back up on your wall? Probably not. So yeah, it's like, here,
No,
let's make that hard job a little harder for you.
Yeah, I challenged mine on Instagram, and they
Mm-hmm.
haven't answered me back, and they haven't put it back up. So
yeah, mine got put back up just randomly, and I don't know why, because none of the boxes you can check were the actual reason why it shouldn't have been removed. So yeah, it's a new adventure. It always is.
No, mine did get put back up. So I guess that maybe they had a bad AI.
It must have been. It must have been flagging everybody's, and now they fixed it. Our cameo appearance.
Yeah, we have to get our cameo appearance.
There you go.
So we're talking Immortal Era, number 10, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, why don't you run us through Immortal Era number 10?
All right. So I'll give you the basic story of the whole book. So Immortal Era, it's a story that takes place 200 years in the future in a world where everyone has gained immortality. So we're in a world of immortality, but not in this great utopia of, vampires walking the earth and they're ageless and frozen in time. No, we're walking around in a world where resources have all disappeared and population has been split. Half the population has to live underground in abandoned subway systems that are overrun with gangs, overrun with cannibalism, and it's just a horrible existence. And the other half live kind of just blindly up in these large surface cities. And it centers on a group of heroes who live underground. They're considered the non-citizens of this world, and they're out searching for a way to bring death back into the world. And our first story arc, they discovered exactly why people became immortal. They find the answer to that, and they also discover a way to bring death back into the world, because their goal is to save humanity by killing them. And they made the first step toward reaching that goal at the end of the first story arc in issue 6. Now we're on issue 10, and our heroes are trying to get the second relic that they need to bring death back into the world. So their quest is they're getting closer to completing their quest, but as they do, they're finding more opposition. So there's a coven of witches who want nothing more than to keep the world as it is, because they found a way to master immortality, and they found a way to actually freeze their time and their age. So they don't want the natural life cycle back in the world. So now we're getting battles between these two groups of people, one who they want nothing more than to keep the world as it is, and the other ones who are trying to do what they can to save people, because they know death is an important part of life, and keeping the world immortal is just making everyone suffer way too long. And we also discover as time goes on that even if you get in this world, you can't get killed, but if they take out your brain, that's, you know, how you can eliminate a threat. And even then, it's not like you're free, because all the souls are still trapped on Earth. So it's a messy place, and that's why they're doing everything they can to save this, you know, to save this world and let people have a life cycle like they should. So things are getting wilder now as our heroes are breaking into a place where the police force of this world is controlled. So they're breaking into this world, and we've seen snippets of it through this second story arc, and we've seen how these soldiers are controlled. And I'm trying to kind of give you the non-spoilery thing without, but still make enough sense where you're like, all right, that may not be non-spoilery, but I'm completely confused. But they're trying to find a way to not only retrieve the next relic that they need to bring death back, but also to take all of the police force offline.
Right.
Because they are pretty indiscriminate in how they'll kill someone. If anyone comes out from the underground, they lift them up and pop their heads and then toss them back in to be eaten by the cannibals. So their goal is to get rid of this force because they're terrible, and they don't want the people to have to suffer like that. So they have two goals getting in there. But of course, nothing ever goes easy, as we see in issue 10. And issue 10, their plan goes completely awry and things get wild. So yeah, that will lead us to 11 and 12 that will close out this story arc. And as I've said it from the beginning, issue 12 is where I blow up the world and we let chaos reign for a while.
Nice. So what's the end game? Like I've talked to with other creators, and like with some, they're just like, I just want to do a 3-story arc, or just I just want to do these first 3, or I'm going to do like 10. What's your end game for Immortal Era? Is that something that you want to see 100 issues of? Is that something that
when it all comes down to it, I have 30 issues planned, but it's looking like I might be able to do it in 24. And then the other 6 would be kind of like issue 9 was a little one shot. It was connected to the story in a way, but it was a one shot for one of our main characters, and we got his full origin story. So what it would be 24 issues that are connected directly to the story, and then 6 issues like the one in issue 9 that would be a one shot. So by the time we're done, we'll know the full history of every character from the series.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like that. I like when you get
I love backstory stuff, so it's kind of fun to do it, but it kind of pauses in it. They'll also all be little one shots, so you can read them separately if you wanted to and still understand. So when I wrote issue 9, it's a one shot story. You can read it and understand it. Even if you're new to the Immortal Era universe, you still would be a little confused on the rules, but each one of these one shots that'll be kind of moving throughout the whole series will also introduce some new rules and some new things that are important to the world. So in issue 9, we find out, that's when we do find out that souls remain trapped on the earth, even if they die. So when immortality started, portals to the afterlife all closed up, and it's something now that's one of the reasons they're trying to find us, because they know, hey, even if one day someone blows my head off, I'm still going to be a soul trapped here with nowhere to go.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So do you see spinoffs coming from Immortal Era?
Well, I mean, Corruptor, my other series, is a mild spinoff where it takes place before Immortal Era, and it kind of introduces a lot of the mythology in there, and also introduces that it's a world full of magic and angels and demons and everything else. And that one, when it was originally written, wasn't intended to be a spinoff or a prequel, but I just was having a hard time coming up with the motivation of why heaven and hell would be battling to gather souls. Why would they even care? Why would they be racing? And I thought, well, if all the souls are about to stop coming, then there's their reason. Like, we need to get as many souls as possible because immortality is about to hit the world, and all the, you know, the gates of heaven, the gates of hell, all are going to be closed. No one's getting in, no one's getting out. So that's why they would be racing to get as many as possible. So it's, you know, it became a spinoff. And then there's also a few characters I'd love to do one shots of that would be taking place in that timeline before the before immortality timeline. So there's a lot of little things. And I think when you're writing a big story and now like a double shared universe story, I think my plan would be more just like some fun little one shots here and there.
Yeah.
Because the time jump in issue 1, it starts in the year 2000. That's the year that everyone gained immortality. And then it jumps 200 years. So there's a lot of storytelling you can do in that. And something I really wanted to do and will do eventually, but it's just, you know, time isn't infinite and you can only do so much with the time you have to create. And that's to do kind of an anthology that would be called Tales from the Immortal Era, that anyone could write a little short story for, and we could just write little fun, you know, 7-8 page stories. Someone could write a comedy version. Just here's, you know, the world's immortal. Tell a story about that. So it's something I've been wanting to do. It's just, it's always in my mind. I just haven't pushed it all the way. And I'm sure when I need to do it, I can talk to Travis Gibb, because he's done all the Cthulhu anthologies that I've taken part in. And if I ask him, I'm sure he could give me some advice on how to actually structure, hire people, and make that happen.
Very good. So what are we expecting anything big in 10? Like for the people that have read Immortal Era, are we expecting anything big, something new that we're going to be shocked with, or are we just kind of on the?
There's a few big twists in issue 10, but the big twists are kind of leading us to issue 11. But we're going to discover that one of the main characters, Kimberly, in the end of issue 6, they defeated the foe that they were trying to defeat, but there are 10 amulets that exist, and each amulet has basically a fingernail from death put into amber, and all of these nails, any part of death, you know, the living embodiment of death. And I guess I'm kind of spoiling, but that's, you know, 2.5 years ago of spoilers. So the living embodiment of death, any piece of that is very powerful. And Kimberly, one of our main characters, gets one stuck to her. Like she gets it. The witch basically uses magic, sticks it to her, and now Kimberly is going to start developing powers and many problems, and that's where we start to see them arise in issue 10.
Wow, very nice.
And it's only going to get wilder once we hit issues 11 and 12. Where issue 11, issue 10 is kind of, I like to think of, you know, some of your issues as we're just moving the chess pieces where they need to get, where all that we need to get to, you know, trying to dismantle all the different soldiers of this world, and we need to try to find the next relic. And this is issue 10 is getting us where they need to go, and also introducing the huge problem that each one of our characters face, because the story splits 3 different ways.
Right.
And as we're moving through those 3 directions, each one hits a major roadblock. So that's where we kind of get in issue 10. And in issue 11, they're going to have to try to deal with all 3 plot lines have a huge cliffhanger that closes us out and realizes, okay, none of the plans went right. And now they got to try to figure out a way to get back on track. And that's what issue 11 will be. And then issue 12 is, will they actually succeed or not? And yeah, that one's a wild one. That one's one of my favorites that I've written, and both my editors just lost their minds over the ending of that one.
Yeah, I know where you're going when it comes to trying to create and not give away too much, but
yeah,
so you have stuff to share throughout the rest. I'm ready for this one. I got my order in.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the first days. I think you dropped it on January 31st, and I think February 1st.
Okay, so yeah, you're one of the early ones. I appreciate that because it always starts strong and then you get that kind of middle where it's just it moves along. It gets a little bit, but now we're about, I think we need like nearly another 1,000 to get funded. So we have enough time that I feel confident, but it's just here's the uphill battle part. Like the beginning, you get that strong surge. The middle's just little bits at a time, and then the end usually that last, oh crap, I almost missed it surge. So you want to hopefully be funded before the last surge so you're not desperately needing that last surge to even make it. But I've had some fund pretty quickly, and I've had some fund with hours left. So
hours to go. Yeah.
You take what you can get because funded is funded, and I can never complain. So it's just all right. Right now we're in the slow and steady climb, and hopefully by the time we get to those last 48 hours, we're just let's get some more stretch goals unlocked, because we've already unlocked. We have a digital comic bundle with a lot of the creators that you were talking about before are always willing to lend digital copies of their book that I can share with the backers and hopefully get them interested in their campaigns as well, because I know Shark of War is one that I've offered before. So Ben's always great to give that one. I've given Drumsticks of Doom. A lot of these creators, if I talk to them, they're really willing to share their material with me, and that's great. So that way the backers get a digital bundle with a lot of great indie comics in there and something they can enjoy and hopefully then go support those campaigns later on. And then also we've unlocked the magnets. So I like to give those. People tend to love the fridge magnets that I give out.
Oh, they do, don't they? They do.
So I talked to someone. I was at a con, and he was like, "Oh, I tutor autistic kids, and your magnet was on their fridge." So I'm like, "All right, cool." It's like people like the magnets, and they're one of my good sellers at cons because I sell them for $1 a piece, and they tend to fly off. And that I'm hoping we can get higher and higher and unlock even more. But in the end, funded is funded. So if we overfund, great. If we fund just enough, I'm happy with that too. And I'm feeling confident, but it's just these are kind of those dog days where you don't see a lot happening, and you get a little bit up every day, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I just because you and I talked offline and on shows before because I think that's the next route I'm going to take with my next couple of books is to go the route of Kickstarter. So I'm just trying to figure out what you guys love about it and what you dislike about it. So
yeah,
I'm excited again. Like I said, I've backed 6 or 7 now this year alone. I think in the first few months of the year. So I'm excited to see where. So how many do you get in a year? Like some people take 1 year to do an entire issue. Some people do 3 or 4 issues a year. How many do you try to get out a year?
My goal is usually to get 4 books out a year. And that would be at least 2 Immortal Era and then 2 of something else. But now that I have all of the art done all the way up to issue 12 of Immortal Era, I really want to close out this particular story arc. So first and foremost, I want to finish this story arc. So that would be 10, 11, and 12 of Immortal Era. And then I have the Dracula Sherlock Holmes book that I'm working on. And that one issue is what I'm looking at for this year, because I know the artist has run into a couple issues and she's not going to want to do 3 or 4 issues a year. But I told her, don't worry about it, because I have other stuff that I'm releasing. Yeah. So it's not like I'm only releasing this book and now I have to wait. So the first issue of Sherlock Holmes Dracula, I'd like to get that one out. And then my letterer, Dan Schmidt, and I are working on the Floater story. So that one's a one-shot. That's the first story I've written that is just a one and done, because that one was actually written in hospital waiting rooms when I was experiencing real floaters and getting surgeries. Yeah. And that one, I don't want to go back in the headspace to write an issue 2. So I wrote it as an easy one shot, but you can always revisit it, because kind of like a horror movie, it's like, okay, the entity that made these floaters evil, it's not like it's going away. It's just kind of, here's your story, tell more later if you really want to. But that would make this year a 5-book release, and that's not putting Corruptor in the mix. And I've already had people who got issue 2 of Corruptor saying, hey, when's 3 coming out? So that puts it more at a 6-book release for the year. So that's kind of where I'm hoping for this year, is to get 6 out.
That's a pretty tight schedule then. I mean,
yeah, that's easier said than done, but seeing as the Immortal Era artwork's done, that will be the easiest of the ones that I've mentioned. And then with floaters, Dan's going to be working on the art for that one, and it's going to go, we can release that anytime because it's a one shot. And then for Corruptor, like I said, I got to get it out sometime, because people, they don't want to wait infinitely to get the series completed. And that one's only going to be 4 issues. So I figure 1 this year, 1 next year, and then it's closed out.
Nice. Ambition. I love it. You go big or go home. Just go big or go home. Don't. No, I get it. Time is. Have you ever thought with the Mortal Era? I was talking with Ray last week, and have you ever thought of going into, say, like role playing with it, building a role playing system with it? Have you anything that we might see something like that in the future with Immortal Era?
I think if I found the right developer who does games and could give it the right treatment, I would love to do it. But I think it would have to be when the series is complete. Because otherwise the whole quest of the game would spoil the ending of the series. Like, okay, here's your quest. You got to do this, this, and this. And of course, to succeed, you have to do this, but you'd have to know what happened in the story already to do that without just spoiling everything. But I would love to see it done as a tabletop game. Once the whole series has run its course, it would be great to do that. And then also, I could squeeze in bits of Corruptor as well, since that is a connected universe. You can bring in those characters, because that is something I've done where we've seen Immortal Era characters cross over into Corruptor in issue 2, and now in issue 12 of Immortal Era, we'll see Corruptor characters cross over that way too. So that way you could integrate them into the game, but I'd want to be done with both series, and then you could have a lot of fun making some kind of a tabletop game. I already have kind of the general play of it, but then I'd need someone who's, knows more board games than just Monopoly like I do. And they could play it to where it could be one of those, more fun and intricate games that take, cards and powers and bring those into them as well.
Yeah, I just love to see what you guys could go, like, where you can expand. Maybe I get a little bit of I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm more excited for you guys sometimes than I should be. But like, I'd like to see where you can expand it to, because like you said, Immortal Eras can go.
And I already think of a fun way to play it, but it's just like I said, it's just, I would hate, even if it became a game, I'd hate to spoil the book for people who have been waiting patiently and reading it. But we'll be reaching the midway point of the series starting by the end of this year. And then if we're doing 3 a year, I mean, sure, it's 4 years, but we got plenty of time to make it happen. So even if it's 5 years from now, you finish the series and now you get the Immortal Era tabletop game, something that would be great. And I actually have a friend who does make tabletop games and does, like 3D printing of the figure. So he's someone I can talk to. And I have the assistant editor on the book. He's big into the board game, so I could have him kind of guide me through what would make this a good board game, not just, here it says Immortal Era, but it's mediocre and boring. We don't need that.
Yeah. Just get into the video game market too, though. Think about that later down the road. Think about that later down the road.
Yes.
I'm trying to make you some money, Ed. I'm trying to help you.
I'll take it.
No. That's awesome. So you got anything to show us tonight, or you want to hold off and wait a little bit longer? Or is there...
I can show you some stuff. Let me get open You can pull open the Kickstarter. We can look at some of the art in that. And then
it's my favorite part. This is my favorite part, by the way.
Yeah, so let me pull that up. Then I'll put the link in once I have it.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I ordered the pens. I got the pens because the pens were the best. The lapel pens, I guess, or the collectible pens. Yeah. All right, let's get this pulled up here. All right.
All right. So this is issue 1 through 10. So you can get all of them here. So shall we play the video first?
Yeah, let's get that video.
Welcome to our bicentennial special. For 200 years, we have been blessed with the greatest gift ever bestowed upon humanity, immortality. Now we all live in a world without the fear of death and loss, a world where we know that our loved ones will always be with us. On January 1st, in the year 2000, we gained this glory.
We interrupt this special with breaking news. The control center of our beloved Guardian Force has been infiltrated by a dangerous terrorist group from the underground. This group was founded by known criminal Dr. Man, who fled the surface years ago, rather than face trial for his heinous crimes. This group is the greatest threat to our immortal gift, as we have confirmed that their primary agenda is to restore the life cycle of the Death Era. We have positively identified Miguel Ayala and Aroni Hope as the primary culprits in this invasion. These are the same terrorists who inflicted millions of dollars of damage to Payne Valley Medical Center, while also injuring numerous Guardians. Rest assured that our president has dispatched his elite forces to assure that this threat is stopped quickly and that our immortality will remain unthreatened. For more details about this invasion, tune in to our 10 o'clock coverage. We'll return you to the bicentennial special after a word from our sponsors.
Our campaign for issue 10 features many exciting rewards for returning readers, as well as those brand new to the Immortal Era universe. This campaign also includes a Garbage Pail Kids homage cover by James Michael Hammond, limited to only 100 copies. With numerous physical and digital rewards, there's something for all readers.
All right. So that's our video. It kind of gives you a little backstory. And I just wanted to do something different because I've done a lot of them with it's, just kind of giving the basics. So wanted to give the basics, wanted to do the news thing. So my wife, she did the newscaster. I do all the other voices. So yeah, that one. Thank you.
That is one of the coolest things that you've shown me since we've been talking. I love that video. That is just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad it came out well. My daughter did it for me, actually. She's the one that put it together. And yeah, I recorded the voice, my wife recorded her voice, and my daughter made it look really good. So she's hoping to get hired and do videos for Facebook, and not Facebook, but for YouTube and things like that. So that's kind of her trial video.
But she did good. She's got a future.
Oh yeah. So I said, okay, we can do some stuff. I'm gonna have actually her do some work on editing some of our videos for First Impressions as well, because I'm gonna try to slip in some music on the non-live streams and just see what happens. So
nice. Yeah,
have her play with that and get those built. And starting with next week we're gonna have the artist on the show. Or no spoilers now. You can find out. Tune in tomorrow, and we'll talk about who's coming on next week, or who we're gonna have, what album we're gonna look at next week. A band you've never heard of, but we'll have the band on there as well. So we're gonna work on a good thumbnail and everything for that one. So we have all the ways to catch up. We have soft and hardcover catch-up tiers, and issue 10, the 4 different covers. I have those larger down here so you can see. And the basic story, it's Welcome to the World of Immortal Era, a post-apocalyptic world 200 years in the future where all of humanity has become immortal. So what you see right here, this is Hope Village. This is where the heroes of the story live. It's an underground abandoned subway system in a kind of, it's not an unnamed city. We don't know what the original city was named before things went completely chaotic and burned. And in this, we see that Hope was written on this pole, so they named it Hope Village. All of the villagers live in these abandoned subway cars, and they made them their homes. And they have the one sustainable good village of the underground, which means it's constantly under attack, and they have to fight off the cannibals that are trying to break in, steal their resources, or just eat them. And issue 6, one of that's kind of the big showdown issue where a group of a gang does break in and start to attack all of the people of the village after our main heroes have left, because they know that those are the best warriors of the village. So the village was left vulnerable and it's attacked. And that's kind of something that's important leading forward that we see addressed in issue 10 as well, is the village was nearly destroyed because only a few in this village have been trained as warriors, and now they have to look at training the entire village so that it can protect itself when another attack comes. And if you read my stuff, you know another attack will come, and this time will they be ready? So it's one of those questions that's something we get a small bit of in issue 11 or issue 10 and in issue 11, the trying to train the village to be strong enough to handle another attack so that, you know, huge numbers of their population aren't lost.
Very nice.
And then this is
guys, you guys, if you're a comic book lover, go out and find Finish Line Comics. You go to Kickstarter, Finish Line Comics. You can find it all there. I know you'll post the link for the Kickstarter, and I've got it on my Facebook page as well, so you guys can go find it there. But
yes,
yeah,
I'll put it in the comments when we're done. But yeah, there's one of our main characters. You can see him right here. It's just a decapitated head. He gets his head. He loses his head in issue 3. We find out his backstory. We get a shorter version of his backstory than the character father, who we get an entire 32-page backstory. But there's more to his backstory than we've learned yet, and this is the main character father, who issue 9 was all about him. Issue 10, the backstory ends in the beginning of the story, and then it's kind of we move back to our main quest. This was the end of issue 6 when they were trying to retrieve the first relic, and they found their greatest villain, who was also from an earlier issue. And this is one of the witches who, like I said, is trying to do everything she can to keep immortality intact. And then this is issue 10, where they are breaking into the control center. They call them aid soldiers. It would be spoiling to tell you why they call them that, but the rest of the world calls them their guardians, and they're breaking in with a specific plan, but I don't want to get too detailed into that, because I don't think I've revealed that even for the people who have read 1 through 9.
I think you said that was your favorite scene, wasn't it? I think you posted something about that being your favorite scene.
I posted that today. That's one of my favorite scenes. I'm going to be posting new scenes every day. I'll be adding kind of, if you follow my Instagram on at Finish Line Comics, I'll be posting new art from issue 10 every day, and also kind of throw some sneak peeks at issue 11 and 12 even, since we have some finished pencils for that one. That's not colored yet, but the longest process is getting the pencils and inks done. Absolutely, the coloring she can do relatively quickly, and I'll probably have her start. Well, actually, I will definitely have her start as soon as this campaign closes, and that way we can, as soon as I'm fulfilling this one, we can be preparing the next one and launching pretty quickly. So if I want to get 6 books done, I got to do kind of one every other month. I don't have much sleep time now. So then there's Kimberly. As I was saying, she has an amulet that's attached to her neck. They've tried to get it off and have failed because the magic keeping it on her neck is too strong, and that's going to lead her to a wild, bumpy road ahead.
Oh.
And then there is Rob Rockford, and he's on his quest to try to find to try to get the relic, because
Right.
he's the only one that can actually retrieve this relic. And let's say for all of them, because Kimberly is going with a specific quest, Miguel and Ari are going with a specific quest, and Rob is, and all of them go horribly wrong. So
I
you
was
have
gonna
to
say
go wrong before
Rob
you can go right.
Rob's the one that's gonna destroy the world.
Rob already destroyed the world. And the characters don't love him because he is the cause of the world being the way it is. If you read issue 2, you find out exactly what he did to ruin the world, but now he's trying to redeem himself by working with a group of heroes.
It won't work.
Undo the mess he already made.
Yeah.
And then
Poor
we got
Rob.
our sneak peek. This is the end of the flashback from issue 9. So we see our character father when he's still young entering the underground because he's now searching for his lost child. In the end of the issue 9, he realized his child was not where he thought she was, so he's searching for her in the underground with these cannibals who basically will have this lettered soon, and it'll be up there in the sneak peek area instead, but they're kind of taunting him, as you can see, and he's not taking it very lightly and decides it's time to carve up some cannibals.
Nice.
So
nothing wrong with a good cannibal carve up. Nothing at all.
Yeah. So he carves up the cannibals, which then kind of moves through to this is a scene that we would have seen back in issue 1. So we see it kind of move ahead in time where he rescues baby Miguel from these same cannibals. So he just basically goes through the underground for many years, from his young form to his older, just literally slaughtering cannibals. That's all he wants to do for his life. But then when he finds this baby, he then kind of turns over and realizes, okay, there is something worth living for, even in this horrible underground world. And he rescues baby Miguel, and that's when he goes and creates the village where he can have a good, sustainable life and happiness, even in, this pit of despair, as they call it, which, my little nod to Princess Bride.
The pit of despair.
And then we see now it's moved back into real time. And this is where, as I was saying, Father is telling Dr. Mann, our decapitated head, that you need to train this village because they almost died. And now it's up to you to train them up. And that's kind of leading to the next time an attack comes, that they'll be safe. And then we have our creative team. So the writers, me, of course. Cesar Oliveira does all of the pencils and inks. He's been the original artist from the beginning. He also does Corruptor with me. He's also done the Cthulhu stories that I've done for Cthulhu Invades Fairy Tales. He's done the art for those. So yeah, he's the main artist I work with. Maya does the colors. She took over in issue 7 when my first colorist got hired by Netflix. So my first colorist wasn't available, but Maya has filled in and done a great job for this second story arc. Dan Schmidt, he took over letters in issue 7 as well. My first letterer had computer issues. He wasn't able to continue lettering. So Dan took over, and again, he's done an amazing job. So he's stepped in, done the lettering, and now he's also someone I'm going to work with to do the floater story, because he does, if you haven't read his books, he does Worms Crawl In and Worms Crawl Out. They're both graphic novels, but they do he's doing individual issues of Worms Crawl In. His original series was black and white, so they're doing a color version. And that one, it's through a different comic company, but I forget their name, so forgive me for that. But yeah, his book is well worth reading. And then Chuck Pinot, he's the editor, and he does a great job. I'm always trying to beat him. I never do. I'm like, this time he's not going to catch me with any mistakes. I'm going to get it all just right. And of course, you don't hire an editor because you want it all just right. But I always feel like I must defeat Chuck, and he's not going to tell me I have any weak page turners this time. And then I mislabel the pages, or I do something completely stupid, and he catches me anyway. So, but that's why you bring him in. And then,
Good job, Chuck. Good job, Chuck.
yes, Chuck keeps me honest, and I appreciate that. And then we have all our versions of issue 10. Here is the standard cover. This is our variant short print one, which is limited to just 25 copies. And I hand number each one. This is the holofoil, which, of course, it's hard to really show how good it looks. But, you know, because holofoil is hard to photograph. It just looks glared out and bad. But it's beautiful. The white dress, the blue coming out of her eyes. It looks so good in the holofoil. This is a beautiful one. And that one, I only did 25 copies as well. So that's another one that only 25 get done. And then this is the Garbage Pail Kids cover. So by James Michael Hammond. And he's an actual Garbage Pail Kid artist. He does Garbage Pail Kids for Tops. And he did Ari slicing a cannibal as our fun Garbage Pail Kid homage.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then,
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it came out so good. He's going to eventually do the whole team. It's just kind of little by little. And we also have a metal card of the Garbage Pail Kids homage cover. And it's instead of the team names on the bottom, it's got Agitated Ari. So that's her Garbage Pail Kid name. And then we had a couple original artwork pages that are both sold. So this was issue 10, page 10. And then the cover, which is the variant cover, but both have sold. So those are gone. I will probably be adding some new art because I'll throw in a couple other pages in there since these two sold pretty quickly. And then just lots of different add-ons. We have the CGC stuff that I was talking about, the Agitated Ari card. You can get the Cthulhu Invades Fairy Tales preview edition. This one was only for the first few teams that finished their volume 1 story. So that has my fisherman and his wife story that's also merged with Cthulhu mythology.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And then we have our little chibi sticker, which was done.
Chibi.
It was done as a fan art by someone I met at Phoenix Comic-Con, and she was nice enough to actually, do this as fan art, but then make it into stickers for me as well. So they're nice, cool little holographic stickers. And then the stretch goals I was talking about, we've already unlocked the digital comic bundle, the magnet cover, and the variant magnet cover. So the next would be the short print magnet, then the 2 stickers. And then if we get to 3,500, everyone will get a Garbage Pail Kids homage sticker that's just included in there. So the foil, the metal card you purchase, but hopefully we unlock it so everyone gets a proper sticker, because you got to have a sticker if you're making a Garbage Pail Kid.
Absolutely got to have a sticker. And that's awesome. Then, you got it all.
Yeah, so I try not to overwhelm, but you got to have a lot of cool categories too, because in the end, that's what people want. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got like we talked about, you got to appease the collectors, and like I said, when I saw the pins, I was like, "Yep, that's the one I want right there." So
yeah, and those sell really well at cons. Even people that don't buy the book, they like the pins. They see them, they like them, especially to see someone, if they're coming up with their jacket and their jacket's loaded with a bunch of pins, they'll buy mine because they're like, I don't have any that look like that. I don't have your decapitated head character or your, age soldier character as a pin. So they buy them anyway, even if they've never read the book, or even I pitch them the book and they're like, nah, not for me, but that pin, I need that. So the pins sell really well at cons. They're not something I'm going to be like, oh, they're super limited. Once they sold out, I'll never print them again. Like, no, I'll reprint them. If people want them, I'll keep those in production. Not like the covers. When the covers sell out, those are gone. And then I do foil cards. And when the foil cards are gone, I do another cover in foil so that people can get a variety of things. But yeah, the pins are always really good sellers. It's because there's pin collectors. They don't care what pin they're buying. They just want unique and interesting pins.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, man, this is going to be a good one for you. I feel it. I feel you're going to get you're going to fund really quick on this one. I feel like so.
That's what I'm
You're only
hoping.
what?
So
Yeah, you're only a week, 2 weeks in, 2 weeks in.
yeah. Let's see how much time is left. We have 24 days left. So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I think I saw the other day. I was like, yep. I was talking to Carissa too. Chris was like, and she's like, I'm not gonna. I was like, Carissa, I'm looking at these numbers, and you're going to hit it within a couple of days. And sure enough, it was like within a couple of days she hit her number. So I feel the same thing for you on this one. Because you've been going strong for you've been going strong for quite some time. So I'm excited for more to 10. Like I said, we'll post all of the links or his link to the Kickstarter in the comments after we're done. You can go find it on my page, and then if not, if you already have Kickstarter, you back me. You can just search Finish Line Comics, I believe, on Kickstarter. You'll find everything there as well.
Yeah, it'll all be under that.
Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it for tonight. You got to join us tomorrow night, Ed and I'll be back.
Yes.
For 38 special special forces. It'll be Ed, Lori, and I talking about 38 special forces on First Impressions. This will be the first time any of us have ever listened to the album. You can go check Finish Line Comics on YouTube, Ed's channel. That's where all of our First Impression videos are at. We've done the new Cure album. We've done the new Linkin Park album. We've done, I don't know what else we've done. Amy Winehouse, Taylor Swift,
Blue Oyster Cult. We've done Stevie Wonder. We've done Godspeed You Black Emperor and Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings and Amy Winehouse.
We've done quite a few. So go check it out. Finish Line Comics. Go subscribe to his channel. You can check out all our videos there. We'll be back tomorrow night. Same time that we started tonight. I'm looking forward to that 30th special. It's one of my favorite 80s bands.
And I'll be super nice and not say anything mean at all. I promise.
I got to say some mean things the last couple of weeks. So you're
my turn. I need to get my role back. You taken my role, and now I'm ready to reclaim my crown as the jerk. Who knows? Lori might out jerk both of us. We don't.
Yeah, she might. I have a feeling she probably will out jerk us.
Because I've already prepared this whole thing, but I'm not going to spoil it. You got to tune in tomorrow. But yes, you're going to learn history of a term, and yeah, it'll be fun. And I'll be nice.
So any last words about Immortal Era before we leave tonight?
Yes, please check this issue out. It's a lot of pieces move in this issue to important places, and setting up what's going to be a wild finale to this story arc. And I can't wait. Next issue 11. I'm always thinking 2 steps ahead because of course art's always way ahead of what the release is. But yeah, we get the return of a character that we met in issue 8 coming back in issue 11. So yeah, you see him briefly in this issue. So it's a blink if you miss it moment, but we see this character return, and he didn't love where things got left off in issue 8, and he's going to try to get a little revenge in issue 11. And yeah, it's about to be a very wild ride for 2 issues. So these 3 issues are going to be crazy. So this one, we get a lot of movement and a lot of obstacles, and then the next 2 issues, I take things crazy. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I'm going to show
ride.
And now I'm going to show off mine. If you guys have known anything about me, so coming February 25th, we had to push it back a week due to some unforeseen operator error, if you will. My new novel, Hell Comes to Texas, a Colt Windsor adventure, comes to Amazon on 25 February. Give it a check. Let me know. I'll post once I drop it on Amazon. I will post a link to that as well. But this is Hell Comes to Texas, Colt Windsor. If you like supernatural, if you like westerns, this is the book for you. It's a little bit of genre mashup, but with all your favorite stuff in there. So check it out. Like I said, February 25th. We drop on Amazon, and can't wait to finally have this one done. This has been one that I've been working on for quite some time. It's gone through a lot of rewrites. And what I mean by rewrites, not edit. I'm talking about starting from scratch because some of the things just didn't work. So,
oh yeah, I know how it goes.
Creator, if you're a writer creator, you know how it goes. So looking forward to that one. But we'll be back again, like I said, tomorrow night. First Impressions will be on Ed's channel. You can check him out at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out all his channels. Follow him. Give him some love. Hit that Kickstarter for him, and give him some love. Give our indie creators out there some love. We're just as hardworking as the big ones out there. So. Until then, we will see you guys soon on the next Dash at Night. We got some other stuff coming up in the next few weeks. Make sure you check it out, and we will see you soon. Night, everybody.